Hello, I'm Jeff Barr, VP and Chief Evangelist for AWS. Today I'm speaking with Bill Vass. Hey, Bill.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Bill Vass. I'm VP for a bunch of different of our services here at AWS, about 50 of them, but a lot of the storage systems and edge processing systems and IoT and a number of things like that. So we're going to talk a little bit about file systems and storage today.
Wonderful. So in today's environment, we know the customers are working hard to prioritize their investments and their resources. How are they benefiting from moving the workloads to the cloud?
Well, we have a lot of customers that have taken advantage of the fact that they are unable to get gear on-prem and they're running out of space. So they're able to burst into the cloud from existing on-prem storage, and of course, in the cloud they can burst dynamically. So as you know, Jeff, the vast majority of the streaming services out there run on AWS, along with Intuit for taxes, which are pretty busy right now, and gaming and a whole bunch of other things. So our customers are able to expand dynamically very quickly on a highly durable storage. When they run out of on-prem storage, they can jump into this. And for other customers that are able to, are looking at a reduction in their business right now because it varies by customer, they're able to shut down a lot of their storage or a lot of their services in AWS and save money immediately, which is kind of hard to do when you own all that depreciating hardware on-prem.
That's a
So
really important point that sometimes scaling down is just as vital as scaling up.
yeah, it's really a big deal, and we've got a great mix of object storage, block storage, high performance file storage, durable storage, and archive storage, along with edge storage at AWS, and our customers can take advantage of all of them at this time.
Okay, so let's get really specific. Tell me about how some of our customers have benefited by moving their workloads to the cloud.
Well, if you take a look at customers like Discover Financial Service that are getting tremendous improvements in analytics performance that drive their analysis for credit, fraud detection, and other market analytics. And of course, EFS, one of the big advantages to it is 11.9 is durable. The data is striped across 3 availability zones at a minimum that are 10 to 60 kilometers away from each other. So you get this physical separation. That's very expensive to do on-prem. You'd have to own 3 data centers and then use data replication across those 3 data centers and manage the network and all those other things. But EFF gives them very low latency and an NFS interface that they can just move their app without changing, a huge amount of IOPS, and that 11.9's durability that the cloud provides, along with elastic scaling, where you don't have to manage it, and the ability to provision IOPS and a whole bunch of other cloud-based features along with integration with all the other AWS services. So there's a lot of advantages to using EFS there.
All right, so I've heard that Infor is doing some pretty cool things as well.
Yeah, so they're taking advantage of a different type of file system. It isn't on-prem, one size doesn't fit all, and it's also true in the cloud, right? We have lots of different databases for different use cases. In storage, we have, as I mentioned, block and file and object and archive and edge and things like that. In the file space, there are a number of different flavors. So EFS is our 11.9 durable spread across 3 availability zones NFS system. And then we have FSX. And the beauty of FSX is it's a managed file system that you can drop any file system into. And we launched with a Windows file system, which allows you to have full Windows, CIFS and SMB compatibility, 100% Windows compatibility, and you can run it in 1, 2, or 3 AZs, and they're taking advantage of that. And then we also have FSX for Lustre, which is our high performance, super low latency, high performance file system. And then we also just launched the ability for FSX for Windows to have a hard disk version as well. It's really, really cheap. So our customers are sort of using all that, but it also gives you, again, the ability, in this case, it's a 1 AZ system, but then you can choose to deploy it in 1 and 2 or 3 AZs, depending upon how much durability you want. And you have the advantage of all the CloudWatch integration and the managed backup and the same kind of managed services you get on AWS. And the ability, again, to scale up and scale down as you need it. And so depending upon what kind of file system load you might have, we can meet it with EFS and FSX.
All right, so lots of options, lots of flexibility for our commercial customers. How about on the public side?
So, EFS has been launched for a little while in GovCloud, so it's available. So all the serverless stuff can connect it, which gives a great way to have a file-based stateful store that you can use if you have a Docker image or something like that that you're managing in a Docker container. And so Caltech's a great example, one of the customers that's using that to accelerate their academic computing, and they were able to set up a website in a few hours that would have taken them days before for their fundraising efforts. So EFS is a great foundation for government services if you need an NFS interface. And as Windows comes out in the future with an NFS interface, you'll be able to use that on EFS as well. But you can also use, like I mentioned before, FSX for native Windows today and in the future.
Okay, so simply having managed file storage in the cloud, that's awesome, wonderful step forward. Once that data is there, what other kinds of things can our commercial and public sector customers do with that data?
Well, so you've got basically the ability to migrate a NAS device into the cloud. And so it gives you a lower cost, highly durable capability. And you get, this super on-demand growth of your file capabilities along with on-demand compute to perform analytics. And you see customers like Bayer and Discover and others using that. You get the ability to have integrations directly with things like SageMaker to do your machine learning, along with EKS and ECS and Fargate in our containers, our serverless type of services. And lastly, EFS is a full POSIX compliant, NFS storage system. So any workflows you have today that are based on an NFS file system, you can just lift and shift them right into EFS, and you can adapt your I/O as needed. We continue to lower the latency significantly on EFS, even though it's a 11 nines durable file system that's stored across 3 availability zones and gives you that same durability you've come to know and love with S3 and Glacier, just with an NFS interface.
All right, so you talked about lifting and shifting. How do we help our customers to actually do that?
Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. So one of the great products we've released that people are just starting to learn about, and those that use it a lot, is DataSync. So DataSync is a parallel data accelerator that opens many ports and moves your data using compression and multi-port acceleration so that you use many channels at the same time. So an easy way to think of DataSync, if you're just doing the standard sort of FTP to move data, is you can think of it, you sort of move the data, like sequentially like this. DataSync kind of turns all that on its side. And so imagine it moving the whole file system at once by opening multiple ports. And it does all that in a managed service for you. So you don't have to think about the number of threads that you need or allocating a bunch of EC2 instances on the back end. It does all that for you at a very, very, very low cost. So it compares to a lot of these high performance data accelerators. So it'll move your data 10 to 20 times faster than just a normal FTP put or something like that, or an SSL put or something like that. And you sort of get a minimum of 10 times, and it depends on the network, right? So it's pretty amazing. It's a great product, very cheap. And of course, we have lots of other ways to move data, like Snowball, and you can directly mount your EFS from on-prem and Storage Gateway, and you can stream data with Kinesis. We have actually 12 different ways to make it easy to move your data into AWS.
I'm glad you can remember all 12, because I suspect if pressed, I probably couldn't.
I could go on, but there's a lot of ways. You can take a look at it on our websites and see all the different ways people have moved data into AWS and out of AWS as well. It's bi-directional for all of these as well.
Sounds great. Bill, it's been awesome to catch up with you, and really appreciate your insights into how our customers are taking advantage of our storage services. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks. It's always good to talk to you, Jeff.